Good day, good people. We are post shenanigans of debacles of calamity of errors and purposely intended shunnings, all types of things. And there was a lot of uncomfortable things this weekend. There were quite a few uncomfortable looking press conferences this weekend. Of course, one of the biggest ones was by Lewis Hamilton due to Ferrari just continuing to do what Ferrari is doing and has done. And then there was Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri looking very disappointed. He is very disappointed, and for a valid reason, no doubt. And I just don't. I think we've seen before when Oscar Piastri, when McLaren won the Constructors Championship, and big shout out to Wildcat, big shout out to Darth, big shout out to everybody pulling up. And we saw when they won their Constructors Championship, and Oscar didn't want to hear it. Oscar didn't want to hear it from Zak Brown. I think that relationship had been fractured a while back, especially when they showed Papaya rules are just Lando rules. I've said it time and time again before. You do not come into a Formula One season claiming to be impartial, claiming to be fair, claiming to be about everybody and team, and we're not going to decide between each driver. And then you come into this season talking about the Lando era. It's just impossible for me to believe you that you're actually going to be impartial and fair. We also saw this weekend, previous weekends, where was the regard for Oscar Piastri as you had for Lando Norris? McLaren implemented themselves to benefit Lando. And since then, it's been a very murky and eventful time on trying to see how are you going to do this but not do that. How are you going to do for him and also do for him? And this weekend, you got to see Oscar Piastri's face just looks totally disgusted. What's going on, Miss Dino? What's up, Galactus? It looks totally disgusted. That hug from Zak Brown was a hug as if, yeah, I effed you. I screwed you, and hopefully you'll be okay with it. Hopefully you'll get over it. But more than anything, what's not going to age well, especially depending on the results at the end of this season, is Zak Brown's interview of him saying that if anybody beats us, I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be Max Verstappen that beats us. Where is saying something like that going to be taken well, especially when this happens? McLaren had several opportunities to prevent this from happening, but what they didn't want to do is they didn't want to lock in Oscar. They wanted to lock in Lando, and they were going to do subtle things until they got that result, and finally they got that result. The problem is Zak Brown's lack of knowledge of playing offense and defense left him exposed. While you were trying to pull off shenanigans, you held back, Max crept in the door, and now he may steal the driver's championship. While you probably don't care because you got a Constructors Championship, it looks absolutely foolish that you won't have two when you could have very well had two 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. So is this some type of makeup since we didn't do right for Lando? We got to find a way to get him in there now. And Oscar, at the cost of Oscar not making it. Now, I'm not saying Oscar Piastri didn't have his mistakes. Drivers have their mistakes. But I'm pretty sure if we go back and we look at the decisions that so-called Papaya rules ploy out, we'll see that those points that could have now been in Oscar's favor would have kept Oscar from being outside of the driver's championship. One, that whole pit stop switchback situation. And then two, when Oscar clearly asked, I got a penalty that was unfair. We all don't agree with it. Give me my position that I was earning back and then let us race. And they didn't want to do it. Oscar had a slow pit stop this weekend, slower than Lando. I don't hear you asking Lando to slow up a little bit on those fractions of time that we overwent 3 seconds into Oscar's pit stop. You just don't do that as a team if you're talking about being fair. Lando, you had a slow pit stop. It happens in racing. Do your best. That's what should have came over the radio. That's what should have been told over the radio. If you're really going to let these drivers drive and race, you will drive, even with certain situations that happen to happen when you're racing. Slow pit stops happen. Mechanic accidents happen. Bad timing happens. But that's not what they did. Zak Brown is fake to me right now for what he's done. He's fake to me. And we already know, we talked several times about Zak Brown being involved in Lando Norris's businesses, a CEO and director within his business. That's a conflict of interest. We talked about that before, that he absolved his roles within Lando's business when you got called out, when it looked as if something that could come out and not play very well in the media. Then you tried to absolve yourself. These are things that are all conflict of interest. And right now on Oscar's face, what I think I'm starting to see is if the opportunity does present himself, he may move on. He may move on. The window slammed so hard on Oscar this weekend, you could see it on his face. You could see it on Oscar's face that he knew, and he started immediately thinking back of all the times, even his own mistakes that he made, because Oscar made some mistakes. Oscar cost himself some points as well. But with how tight this championship is, McLaren definitely are up to the table for being called about what they didn't do and should have done. Max Verstappen even looked at them foolish. Several teams looked at McLaren foolish. You're supposed to protect that driver's championship lead. Too late. And now you're going to go into one of now the most iconic circuits of a scandal where Max Verstappen mixed in the middle of two McLaren drivers. And you're going to play those odds? Come on. The FIA are Max Verstappen's awesome grandparents. And we all know majority grandparents, they're not into punishing. They're into spoiling. They're not into being the bad person. They're into being the good person, the saving grace, right? Even when they don't outrank you, they just want to be the saving grace. The FIA are Max Verstappen's grandparents. If they can give him a leg up, they're going to. And I'm going to tell you this. The whole 25-lap limit this past weekend, I really didn't care for it. I don't care for it. I still think you leave that up to the drivers. You leave that up to the teams to find out how you're going to find your way through this racing event with these circumstances. These are the challenges that come with racing. There is no 25 tire lap limit. This is what we have, a meeting. At this track, due to the surface, these are some of the things that you could run into. You need to decide as a team what you're going to do about it, but we're letting you know the circumstances. Do with it what you may. That's what should have been done. I hate when they do things like this, and it makes a definite situation where everybody knows what everybody has to do versus everybody knows what the circumstances are, what the potential dangers are, and now we're going to find out as a team what we can navigate and what we can take on to give us the edge over another team, and vice versa. The 25-lap limit to me was shenanigans. It was more shenanigans of Pirelli not technically getting the things right with the tires, and we've seen this before. Cool. But 25-lap, I know they're going to safety, listen, we have punctures all the time. Formula One is a dangerous sport. And I'm not saying don't limit the dangers, but when it comes to something as far as surface and tire dig, y'all got to work it out. We're not going to limit everybody so everybody knows what any and everybody has to do and minimize your ability to extract performance here and there or take little chances that other teams might not want to take to put you towards the front or send you to the back. We're not going to do that. So I don't agree with that whole 25 lap limit situation. It just seems almost when somebody wants to put things in place to give somebody else the upper hand. And another thing, if we really wanted to get into it, I'm still trying to figure out, was it really about reliability for Max Verstappen and Red Bull to do that entire power unit change, turbocharger, power unit, ICE? If it doesn't go against the cost cap, it really should have been looked at a little bit more. But that is what it is. And at this point in time, I'm going to say this. They let the fox into the hen house. And when you let a fox into the hen house, you're going to get what might be coming to you. McLaren had clear and ample opportunity to have that door shut, and I do mean sealed shut. Only problem was the driver that they wanted to do it for wasn't where he needed to be in order for them to do it, and they found a way to finagle it so that he would get in bounds to do it, and then now it's okay, let's race. Lando's caught up to you, Oscar. Okay, now we can race. Now we can do something. Lando Norris is there. I don't recall, but I need to go back and listen. I don't recall Pit Wall asking Oscar, do you want Lando to pit first or you? I don't recall that happening. I mean, they just made the decision. Even if they made the right decision, I don't recall the availability of Oscar dictating who was going to go in first. It may have happened because I didn't solely just listen to Oscar's team radio. But I don't recall it. And I do recall several times when it was afforded to Lando, you didn't have to just listen to Lando's specific radio team radio. It was blasted right there. So they just do what you do. Yeah, so Oscar Piastri I think he's going to be out on this. Sylvia with Kelly in the super chat. That race was enough to make me top up on any I think Sylvia with Kelly, you're right. Oscar is likely sick. There's gonna need to be an immaculate unfolding of situations to favor Oscar, as now he is third behind Max and then Lando. It's still a very close race, but you're talking about Lando having to finish outside of points, Max Verstappen having to finish behind you several positions, and then Oscar winning the race. Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. But is it unlikely? Yeah, it might be unlikely. It might be unlikely, for sure. So it was bad. It was bad. And I don't agree with how Zak Brown finagled this and carried it out. Not even for himself, but for Lando. Because he wants to be able to look Lando in the face and say, told you we'd make you a world champion. But if he looks at Oscar, he's just got to say, man, you came into this team less time than Lando and became a world champion. And Lando probably will lose his mind. If Oscar beat Lando at McLaren, Lando would go into a downward spiral of emotional pitfalls, and I don't know if they'd be able to get him out of there. I think the following season, he probably would do absolutely horrible. That's just my opinion. It's my opinion. A lot of things came out of this weekend. One of other many things that came out of this weekend was an absolutely horrid performance by Ferrari. That's another thing that came out of this weekend to me. So I don't think Lando, I don't think Oscar, I don't think they leave McLaren next season. I think it's hard for a driver, even with certain circumstances at play, to leave a team that gives them the best opportunity right now at a shot at world champion. But next year is definitely uncertain. Next year, so many things are going to change. You can't say what you would say coming into this season from last season into the next season. There's so much changing. You can't say to yourself, we're on track. We're still the better team out here by a good margin, and I don't think it's going to change next season, so I really have an opportunity. Next season, things could get turned on their head. Paul in the super chat says, what's good, fam? Smash the like, y'all. Hope everyone has a great and safe week. You too, brother. So I don't think you can't say that. But I also believe you have to play the cards you're dealt right now. And right now, if you had to pick even 3 teams that would give you the best opportunity at returning to that type of performance level, it's going to be McLaren, Mercedes, or Red Bull. That's the best you can do, choose from. And right now, McLaren's leading in that. But very well, next season, things could change. I mean, Williams got a podium this weekend. That was awesome. Baraka, Chaka, Team Pumpkin Spice proved Max right. Team Pumpkin Spice. Facts. Their mistakes kept Max in the title fight. Max maximized what he could. McLaren boosted it up for him. They did. They teed it up, bro. They teed it up. I got a short coming out Wednesday about this. They teed it up, Baraka. And he told him. Max told him that they were making a mistake not prioritizing Oscar. Max told them this. I'm paraphrasing, but the way he responded, yeah, they're making a mistake. I'm surprised that they're not prioritizing Oscar. That's crazy. He let them know the whole time, and McLaren hey, it doesn't matter, Max. If Lando doesn't win, we want you to win. Anybody except for Oscar. If Lando doesn't win, we want Max to win. And while Zak Brown was up there talking out his ass this weekend, we lose as a team. No, you already won as a team. You won the Constructors' Championship. Oscar's losing as a driver in McLaren Papaya colors. That's what's happening right now. You've already won as a team. That was the Constructors' Championship, Zak Brown. Don't try to give the fluff shit now. Oscar's losing out as a driver in Papaya colors with McLaren. You trying to use these words to make it seem like, oh, we still unity. No, we're not. It's not unity. It's Lando first and me if everything else needs to happen. Stop playing. Paul in the Super Chat says, should have backed Oscar when he had a huge lead. Bro, an absolutely huge lead. Oscar had over 100 points lead on Max Verstappen. If that wasn't enough vote of confidence to back him then, it was never going to be until Lando got where they wanted him. Championship would have been sealed and delivered. If I was Oscar, I would bounce. That's a fact, bro. I don't even think Baraka disagrees with that. That's a fact. He definitely did, man. I'm telling you, Zak Brown is proven not to be trusted. Sylvia Wick Kelly in the Super Chat says, wishing Miss Beanie a happy birthday for tomorrow. You got a delivery coming tomorrow, snot. Damn, Sylvia Wick, why you had to kick her while she was down? Sylvia Wick could kick you when you're down in the sandlot. She don't play fair. Just scratch your eyes out. She's going to pull your shirt over your head, pull your underwear up through your pants. Sylvia Wick Kelly's awesome. Big shout out. Pre-happy birthday wishes to Mary Beanie. But this, I'm just telling you, this is what happens when you don't do what you need to do. This is right. This is what happens when you don't do what you need to do. But more than that, this is what happens when you don't do the right thing. You didn't make the right moves. You made the wrong moves there. You failed right there. You failed, but you succeeded in your small little plan, but overall you might fail in the grand scheme. And I said it in the shorts I posted earlier this morning that if Max wins this driver's championship, McLaren is going to be heavily scrutinized, and they are going to look absolutely ridiculous, not only to spectators, not only to fans that pay thousands of dollars for paddock and club passes, not only to talking heads on the grid, but talking heads off the grid, media news outlets, content Formula One creators. They are going to be heavily scrutinized. They are going to be looked at as ridiculous. Zak Brown is going to be looked at as foolish. All because you wanted to make yourself right with the Lando era quote. You risked, and you risked your championship for your driver, and likely the championship for Oscar Piastri going into this season. You don't say, if I have anybody beats us, it needs to be Max Verstappen. And then it looks like it might come true. Congratulations, you played yourself. Paul in the Super Chat says, happy early birthday to our Mary. Hope you have a blessed day and another greatest trip around the sun. Yo, that was pretty good, Paul. Look at you, man, getting all philosophical out here. All philosophical. Look at you getting your philosophy and all your poetic justice out, man. I see you. Trip around the sun, man. I like that. That was good, man. Paul just putting probably got a pin with a feather on it, man. So yeah, I thought it was crazy. I think they're gonna get what they deserve. At this point in time, if Oscar can't win it, I want to see McLaren eat crow. I would hope they don't, honestly. I hope it doesn't end up like that for them. But if it does, it kind of does. You helped Max Verstappen win a 5th world title. McLaren effectively helped Max. It's pretty much what happened. What's up? Reese in the house with the Super Chat. Papaya Red Bull being released at Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. That's going to be crazy. If we get a papaya Red Bull drink, I'm buying it. I'm buying it, bro. I'm buying it and putting it on display. Right there. Right there, I'm putting it on display. We also got Miss Dino in the Super Chat. Mad about threats Kimi receiving on a Red Bull live. What the hell happened right there, Miss Dino? That's crazy. Why is Kimi receiving threats? That's absolutely wild. Kimi receiving threats? Man, listen, you know what? You can't ever count the Red Bull fan base out for some of them. Not all of them, because Baraka used to be a Red Bull fan, but now he's a Haas fan, soon waiting to go to Cadillac, like so many. You can't count them out for all types of racist, sexual harassment, quotes, all types of shenanigans. Not all of them, but some of them. And Kimi getting attacked on something that's kind of crazy. So I don't know. That's wild right there. And if it's in regard to Kimi letting Lando through, do you all know how many times and how many drivers we've seen let Max through? It's like part the Red Sea Max, part 5. There are so many drivers that drive hard against Lewis Hamilton as he's coming through the grid and then part the seas for Max Verstappen as he's coming through the grid. It's ridiculous. So Kimi shouldn't be getting any threats. If anything, you need to kick yourself in the ass because that's completely a double standard. For sure. That's a complete double standard. I've watched so many drivers, Alonso, Hulkenberg, Lando. I've watched so many drivers, Sainz sometimes, Charles Leclerc. Just let Max come on through. Just come on, buddy. Just come on through. Some drivers don't, though. Like Ocon. Some drivers don't. Some drivers keep a consistent line of competitiveness about themselves, regardless who the other driver is in the car. Some drivers do. Some drivers don't. I don't want to say most because some drivers don't. Paul in the super chat, 25 lap rule makes strat too predictable. That's what I was saying earlier, bro. That 25 lap rule was crap. It was crap. Should have never been implemented. Only thing that should have been done is a safety brief held, the information given to the teams, the data given to the teams on what Pirelli thought, and then y'all play ball. I think the 25 lap rule was a bit suspect, and I didn't really appreciate it for the race, honestly. So not at all. This seems that they can do things like this on a whim, but they can't do other things that make a lot more sense to do for the entire season. That's what seems crazy to me. They can do things like this, but then they want to say, oh, we can't really play around too much with the sprint format. It could be, evidently you can. You came up with a rule that put a ceiling on every team that was competing yesterday. Evidently you can definitely do it. So I don't want to hear that crap about what you can't do, because you showed me a lot that you can do, which tells me that when you say I can't, you're just full of shit. So It is what it is. But hey, we got Abu Dhabi is coming. Abu Dhabi is coming, people. That race is coming up. I know that several of you have already said that you likely will not watch the race. You likely will just come here and get your updates. And I don't blame you, but it is going to be either a celebratory situation or a gut-wrenching situation. And I think, honestly, I don't think anybody here is out of pocket for thinking about all the things that were said in regard to wanting a three-way battle going into the final round, the Drive to Survive, the movies, all of the things that they can make off just content of this whole situation. I don't think any of you are wrong for assuming that this is some WWE shit. Honestly, what is going on? There's no way this should have been allowed to a degree, but it has been. It's been finagled, and a lot of you are feeling as if Formula One itself is turning into a staged sport. Like when I watch sport shows, I don't know why they have WWE on them. It's not a sport. That's a theatrical act. That's a theatrical act. That's not a sport. Why are you reporting WWE? It's not a sport. It's a show. Yeah, you can have a sport that is a show, but that's a show that wants to be a sport. It's a big staged act. So I don't know why I'm watching ESPN Sports Center and they're playing WWE. It's not a sport. Now, also keep in mind, last season, Oscar Piastri at Abu Dhabi came in 10th. Lando came in 1st. Max Verstappen in 6th. They were very spread out. I think at this point in time, Oscar has shown that last year's results, as far as his contribution, are not this year's results. Because remember, last year, Oscar at Qatar came in 3rd, right? This year, he should have been 1st. He should have been 1st for sure, for certain. All of his efforts went out of the window. So he's gut-wrenched because I did what I needed to do to make things different this season off last season, and it still didn't matter because I'm working against my team. I'm working against the FIA and all of the other drivers on the track. So absolutely horrible. It is what it is, but we will be here live because this weekend comes the final round of Formula One. And do not forget, we will be having the wheel spin for the Formula One trading cards. All right, we will have the wheel spin for the Formula One trading cards. Somebody is going to get this nice box looking for some Lewis Hamilton autos, any Max Verstappen, if that's what you do, Lando, if that's what you really want, Oscar Piastri, you should, right? So we're going to have those. We're going to do the wheel spin for those. So that will be coming up. Matter of fact, I'm going to put those right over here because we're going to do the wheel spin. So somebody's going to walk away with that. So that's going to be a good time. It's always a good time we do that. And we're still going to have giveaways in the offseason. Trust that, all right? So you want to be here for that as well. I think Miss Dino won the last one. I think Miss Dino won the Lewis Hamilton PSA slab. So congratulations to Miss Dino and the little one, and big shout out to him. Still doing this K1 speed racing karting thing. Wolfpack Cub. Got a Wolfpack Cubs out there. We got some Wolfpack Cubs out there. Sylvia Wick, I hope that Wolfpack Cub is doing well as well. Coming up healthy, nice and strong. So big shout out to everybody. We will be here live throughout the week just for more news because I'm pretty sure some petty shit's going to come out. Y'all stay safe. Stay humble, drink water, stay healthy. We're out. Peace.